Take a tour of a freestall dairy with me, a dairy cow veterinarian. A freestall barn has housing for dairy cows with access to cubicles, or beds, that cows can come and go from at will. About 20% of dairies in the United States use this housing system. When you drive by, you may see cows out on an open lot or dry lot like this, but they also have this shade structure. So let's dive into what's inside the barn on this farm. Inside the barn are these freestalls. Freestalls mean they're divided by these big hoops, and the cows can lay down in them, but they're free to come and go as they please. This cow is laying down right now. You can see one standing behind her, and many of the beds are open. There are enough beds for the number of cows in this pen, which is a lot because they also have a lot of space to walk around and move around in. Freestalls need good bedding. That's very important because the cows need to be comfortable enough to lay down. These have dried manure solids as bedding, but I also see straw and even water beds used on farms. When it's really hot outside or it's raining, most of the cows stay inside, so you'll see these freestalls packed like this. But the bars keep them from rolling onto each other and hurting each other, and keep them separated so they each have their own safe space to lie down in. Dairy cattle will lie down when they are comfortable. They'll lie down for 12 to 14 hours per day if they have a comfortable place to lie down in. So it's really important that these freestalls are well bedded and are well maintained. If cows are uncomfortable, they'll actually stand up, not lie down. You can see these cows have a walkway that is grooved. You can see them walking on this concrete area with grooving in it. The grooving helps them maintain their footing, and there's a lot of research on exactly what depth and what spacing that grooving should be. They walk in this pathway that is concrete. It's concrete so that it can be cleaned out regularly. If it was dirt or grass, the cows would dig it out and it would get really muddy and it'd be hard to clean. You can see these bars right here. On the other side of the bars, if we look through, is actually their feed bunk. The feed is placed down and the cows have access to fresh, clean feed at all times of the day. They can put their heads through and eat whenever they want, and eat as much as they want. The bars are not tight on their heads at all. They're not uncomfortable. They can walk in and out whenever they want. It's just keeping the feed clean so that they don't step on it or poop on it. You can see this cow just backed out because she didn't want to be there anymore. If we look through, we can see other cows across the way eating, and then look down, and that's the food that is set out for this pen. As they eat, they push the feed away from them, and then it gets pushed back towards them regularly. But when you look down the barn, there's fresh feed available to all cows, and whichever ones are interested can come up and eat whenever they want. When we look from the front, we can see at mealtime, when fresh feed is dropped, many of the cows will come up and eat. But they don't all every time, and that's okay. They can eat as much as they want. And what they're eating is like a gourmet salad. It's called a total mixed ration, or a TMR. And it's mixed up to be a perfectly balanced diet. And that recipe is created by dairy cow nutritionists. You can see those bars close as they put their heads down to eat. And they open when they lift their heads up. See, the one on the left has closed bar. See, the one on the right has open. We can actually set those bars so that when they close, they stay closed and they don't open back up, even if they lift their heads. If they're due for a health exam, for example, or it is a certain time of day where they need their regular checkups. These bars are called stanchions, or lockups. Sometimes you'll hear them called because we can set those bars to lock. This cow is digging through to try to find the best parts of her meal. They are very picky eaters, and they will actually sort through their feed, so it has to be mixed properly. Different foods look different. This one's sort of a more tannish, brownish color because the majority of what's in here is silage. So let's go back to this cow. She has food available to her, she has a safe place to walk, and then she has this very clean bed. These beds are perfectly designed so that when the cow stands up, she will defecate and the poop will go outside of the bed. Notice you don't see any poop piles in the bedding themselves. Often the cows will actually even purposefully take a step off to defecate outside. Cows are big animals and they make a lot of poop, and they'll just poop usually wherever they want. So this stall design helps keep these stalls clean so that the cows have a comfortable, clean place to lay down, free of manure. You do see bits of manure in this walkway because cows do poop where they walk, they poop where they stand, they poop wherever they want, really. So these walkways do need to be cleaned out very regularly. But the cows can walk down safely and comfortably. And their feet are cleaned regularly also when they go to the milking barn. They're all staring at me right now. When the cow walks out of her bedding, she usually backs up, and then she's in this walkway. Let's zoom in on these cows down here. We've got one standing up, just hanging out, and one laying down. They spend the majority of their day doing whatever they want. They go up to the milking parlor 2 to 3 times a day, but the rest of the time they're in this big area. They have access to the outdoors, and then they also have the indoor area where they can spend their time laying down, walking around, drinking water, eating food, playing with others, doing whatever they want. Cows are herd animals, and they're actually very social creatures. They can recognize up to 100 of other cows, so they know exactly who's in their group. These cows are standing at the water trough. This is a pretty large water trough that self-fills on its own as the water starts to get lower, so they have access to clean fresh water at all times. You can see this is accessible from both the inside area and the outside area. This cow is in the crossover lane. Behind her, we can see the push-up tractor is coming by. Somebody is driving this, and it is actually pushing up the feed, so anything that they've pushed away is now refreshed and pushed back up towards them. That crossover lane allows the cow to walk to either side of these aisles of freestalls. So this barn has 2 rows of freestalls, 1 row with 2 sides, and then 2 long alleyways. Some freestall barns will actually have 4 rows or even more. They're rows of freestalls. It does depend on how many cows are in the pen because there needs to be at least 1 bed per cow. And then same with the stanchions. There needs to be at least 1 headspace per cow. So there shouldn't be too many cows in one pen or in one area. This barn has access to an outdoor area. And if you look out, it's a really nice day today, and most of these cows are laying in this outdoor area. When we look at farm size, having these freestall barns with that access to that big exercise lot is what we call it, is more common on large farms. So you can see this cow just decided to walk in from the outdoor area. She's going through the crossover lane, probably going to go get something to eat. And now this cow right here is walking out to the outdoor area. She probably already had something to eat and just had a rest, and it now is looking to go get some exercise or lay out in the sun. In some parts of the world, having access to that outdoor area is not common. These barns are indoors only, and they're used for when the weather is very poor. Parts of the world where there's a lot of snowfall. They'll have a fully indoor barn with these rows of beds. Here's more cows stopping to drink some water from the outside area. There's actually a lot of research about how big the water troughs need to be, how much access to water they need, how many inches of water space. Cows will drink up to 50 gallons of water a day. So let's go to the outdoor area and check out what's going on out here. Again, because these cows live the majority of the day just doing whatever they want, we can see out here just, cows being cows. Many of them are laying down. Laying down is a sign of comfort in cows. Like I said, this cow has an itch and she's scratching the inside of her leg. Crazy how they can reach certain places like that. These cows saw me coming, so they walked over. This one is in heat, so she is actually trying to mount really anything and everything she can see, mostly unsuccessfully. Here's another cow with a little itch, and she scratches it just fine with her tongue. This cow is rolling her tongue around and laying down and ruminating. Ruminating means chewing their cud, where they will actually regurgitate their food. Here's another cow in heat, and she's mounting that one very successfully. Because the one standing doesn't move away, the one standing is also in heat as well. Here's a little hop and a skip from a cow as I walk past her. Cows will stand up when they choose and get some exercise, and they'll lay down when they choose as well. This one's got an itch on the top of her back, and it's amazing how she can reach that. And then there's always some cows that are causing trouble. Like this one. She's not supposed to be doing that, but someone will come clean the water trough pretty soon. Many of the cows are very interested in what I'm doing. Cows are very curious. So they walk up to me to check out what's going on. And as I was filming this, I turn around and I've got a little audience that is lined up. They're in a perfect circle around me because cows actually have a personal space bubble. So if I walk towards them, they'll actually back away. And they'll move if I'm walking past them. But they are very curious, and oftentimes they'll follow me in the pens. As a dairy cow veterinarian, observing cattle and cattle behavior is a big part of my job. I'm on farms every day, and how cows move around people is really telling to how they're handled. These cows are not afraid of me. They're very curious, and they're very calm. That tells me that they're handled calmly and gently throughout their daily lives. The dairy cattle are very used to people, unlike some type of cattle, including beef cattle, that are often less used to people because they're just not around people as much. But dairy cattle are around people regularly as they get milked 2 to 3 times a day, and there's people giving them health checks daily, and they see people giving them food, and they see people cleaning their water troughs, and they see people cleaning their pens. So they know that people are good for them, even though they don't always like you to get super close to them because they still are prey animals, and they still do have that personal space bubble. When we look at the water trough from the outside area, there is also a concrete slab next to the water trough. That's because as the cows line up to drink their water, they will often dig out that area and they'll splash the water so it will get muddy. So you can see that there is dirt out on the lot far away, but near the water trough, there was that concrete slab. This cow wants to know what I'm doing. And then you can also see that the pens are scraped regularly. So let's go back inside and check out what's going on here. As the cow walks into the inside area, she can choose to go right or left and go lay down in a freestall, or she can choose to go up to eat. These cows have walked through this crossover area and walked up to eat some lunch. Cows will eat over 100 pounds of food per day, so that's a lot of food. This cow notices that I'm here and she backs up. And the other cows want to know what I'm doing as well, so they'll start to back up and walk out. The nice thing about these freestalls and these stanchions is they are free to move around however they are most comfortable. Notice that all these cows are wearing collars. They also have ear tags, so that's a visual ID so we can check which cow is which when we're out looking for a cow. But they do have collars, and the collars are like Fitbits. They are tracking their activity, they're tracking their respiration, they're tracking their rumination. They're tracking this cow all day long, so she gets really individual attention. Watch this cow stand up. Cows always lunge forward when they stand up, and they stand up with their back feet first and then their front feet. So stall design is really important. You can see that she fits perfectly in this freestall. She has plenty of space on the right and the left, and she has plenty of space front to back so that she fits and can lay down comfortably, but also she's not pooping in the freestall. Her collar just tracked that stand up that she did and is now tracking her movement. And the farmer can access all of that data at any time. It'll even send an alert if things are off, like respiration rate is too high or her rumination rate is too low, so that the farmer can know that she needs some individual attention. This dairy has Holstein cows. That's the breed of cow. There's different breeds of cows, just like there's different breeds of dogs. Holsteins are the black and white dairy cows that you see. They are larger, and they also produce more milk, a higher volume of milk than many other breeds. Here you can see some of the cows are laying down. They have all different coat patterns. A Holstein's coat patterns, the black and white spots, are unique, just as unique as a fingerprint. There are no two cows with the same spots. Two of these cows are resting and ruminating, and one of these cows is actually asleep. They often tuck their heads back like this when they're sleeping. But they're ruminating, which means that they are comfortable. They're chewing their cud. These ones up here are still up eating their lunch and are feeling very comfortable up there, even though I'm right behind them. But let's keep walking. Cows have 4 compartments to their stomach, so they will swallow their food and then regurgitate it back up and chew their cud. That's what this one's doing. See, even though she doesn't have food in front of her, she's still chewing, because she's just chewing food she ate earlier. Let's go back out to the outdoor area. You can see it's really quite large, and the cows have plenty of space to lay down. Notice closer to us, the dirt is scraped away pretty cleanly, so it's a harder surface to walk on. Same as this concrete area that's around the water trough. Here we see again this cow that's in heat. Notice how she's rubbing her chin on the tail head of the other cow. She's looking to mount this cow, but the cow in the front is not in heat. So she's walking away as the cow behind her follows her around. Here they are. She is walking away and the other cow continues to follow her and tries to mount her. The collars will actually track this activity, and when her activity is high like this, it will flag her for being in heat or ovulating. Some dairies will use tail chalk, or they'll actually color the tail head with a special livestock marker, and when that's rubbed away, that they know that that cow is in heat. The one that's following her around isn't necessarily in heat. She may be close to it or in heat yesterday or tomorrow. But if the other one stands still to be mounted, then she's in heat as well. But it's really common that both of the animals are in heat, the one mounting and the one underneath. Also as unique as a fingerprint as their coat colors is their nose print. This cow is going to show us her nose print really clearly right here. Yep, there it is. That print, if you put it on a piece of paper, would be different than every other cow's print. And because cows are so curious, if I start walking away, then if I turn around, yep, those same cows are following me right now. It's a really nice day today, so most of the cows are in this outside area. You can see it's scraped clean by the water trough and right next to the water trough. But the cows are laying down in that outer area because it's really bedded very well. So actually the bedding has been added so that they have that soft, clean place to lie down in. One nice thing about having this dirt, this dry lot, is that the manure can actually be scraped up and cleaned away. And then new, fresh bedding can be added so they have a comfortable, clean place to lie down in every day. See this cow? She's laying down, and she just pooped right where she was laying. The cows, they usually don't care. But because this is a dry lot, we can come through with the scraper and actually scrape out all of that dirty stuff. This cow is showing you a very good example of her flight zone. She is very curious for me that she wants to see what I'm doing, and she wants to come up right next to me. See, she'll follow me here. But when I walked towards her, she skipped away. Cows want to be near people on their own terms, especially dairy cattle who are used to people. They have a lot smaller of a flight zone than beef cattle, for example. So these cows are hanging out in this outdoor area, but when it's time to go milked, the gate will be opened and they'll actually walk down this long pathway to get up to the milking parlor. There are many pens, all the same size, on this dairy farm with lots of cows. This is the milking parlor. When they walk up that long walkway, they'll actually come here to this holding pen, and then the gate will open and they'll be allowed to walk into the milking parlor, just like this. They walk in single file, and then they line up one by one. Because we can milk a lot of cows at the same time, big groups can go in, so the ones in the holding pen don't have to wait as long for their turn. Here you can see them walking in very calmly, and the parlor is being cleaned, but the cows are not being forced in any way. Cows that are stressed actually will balk and not want to walk in, and they won't let down their milk. So it's in everyone's best interest to keep the cows calm and comfortable in the milking parlor. This milking parlor is a parallel milking parlor, meaning they line up parallel to each other. I can do some more videos on the different types of milking parlor if you guys are interested. But they walk down this long walkway and then they line themselves up one by one. And they put their heads through these metal bars. Again, the metal bars are not tight on their neck. They're really just keeping them from moving forward so that they don't walk away with the milking machines attached. From behind, this is what it looks like. They have the milking machines that are attached to their udders, and the milking process takes about 5 minutes. So they're not constantly hooked up to machines. This is a really quick process, and they're in this milking parlor just for a short amount of time. As soon as they're done milking, the bars lift up, and that group is allowed to be released and go back to their home area. Once the bars are released, then they lower back down, and then the next group can walk in. Here the bars are going down, getting ready for the next group of cows to walk in. The cows walk down a long alleyway that's actually set open for them. You can see them going off here. We'll look at the next set of cows and see how they go. The bars lift up and the cows walk out. At this point, they have been fully milked out and their teats have been disinfected with a teat disinfectant. So the cows walk down this long walkway from the milking parlor, and the gates are set so they can freely walk back to their pen, right where we were looking at earlier. So here they walk down this alleyway, and cows really thrive on routine. You can see that nobody's forcing them. They're walking down because they know that this is the way back to their home area, to their pen. They're stopping right here because they are walking through a footbath that's actually cleaning off their feet as they walk back to their pens. The pen is set to the gates being open so that the cows can walk back and enter at their own pace. Cows actually move really slowly, and it's really important not to rush them. But as they walk through here, their feet will get cleaned and they'll walk back to their pen, just where we were looking at earlier. These cows are moving calmly and slowly, which is what I like to see. Again, a big part of my job as the vet is every time I'm on the farm, which is usually 1 to 4 times a month, I'm observing the cow behavior. Here is the feed area. So while those cows are up in the milking parlor, somebody is preparing their food. They have a special feeding technician that drives a big tractor like this with a mixer wagon. So they dump all of the ingredients into the mixer wagon, and then the mixer wagon has big augers inside that are mixing it up into that total mixed ration that we talked about earlier. The ingredients aren't just dumped in willy-nilly. They're measured out really carefully, set by a recipe that is created by a special animal nutritionist. Once it is created, their food is dumped right in front of their stanchions in that feed bunk area. You can see they're empty because this pen is empty right now. Also, while the pen is empty, a tractor comes through and scrapes their pen to clean out that outdoor area. And in the indoor area, fresh bedding is added, and then it is raked clean so that they have this comfortable, clean place to lie down in. That's one nice thing about moving all the cows up to the milking parlor at once, so that pen is empty and a lot of maintenance can be done during that time. Here we can see that the bedding is added. Like I said, there are different types of bedding I see. I see straw bedding, I see sand bedding, wood shavings, this dried manure solids, and then some cows even have water beds. While the cows are outside of the pen, that is the time that we can go through and refresh the bedding, make sure everything is in working order, and make sure that the alleys are clean too. You can see this flush lane has water coming down it to flush all the manure out. The rake comes through and all of those beds are raked clean. Here you can see there's usually a big truck that drives that will rake it clean so that when the cows come back from the milking parlor, they have clean beds and clean fresh food. Here we can see the water coming through from that flush lane. It's like a giant flush. So water comes through and cleans out those walkways that we were looking at earlier. They had some manure in them, but several times a day they are flushed and cleaned. Here is a raked out pen that already has cows that have come back from the milking parlor. You can see that they had those raked clean areas that nobody's laid down in yet. They have fresh clean feed that was just dropped. And then the cows have come back and they've already started to lay down and mess up that beautiful raking, but they are enjoying their comfortable place to lay down in, and they are enjoying their fresh clean feed that has just been dropped for them. When the cows walk back from the milking parlor, they walk back slowly like this. This is a great time to observe the cows. A lot can be seen as they walk by, and that's something that I do as a veterinarian, and then I train the technicians on the farms to do as well. It's really important that the farmer and the technicians on the farm, and me, the veterinarian, and really everyone on the farm is watching these cows closely walk back from the milking parlor and walk to the milking parlor. Because now is the time that we start to identify if any cows are lame, if any cows are limping, that's what that means, or if any cows are lagging behind the others, if their body condition is poor, or if their body condition shows that they are overfed or too fat. We can also see how they are carrying their heads and how their ears are directed. That tells us if they are not feeling well in any way. Their heads will be lower down and they will not be walking as comfortably. If they have an arched back, that shows that they have pain. And we can pull those cows out and do a full physical exam to identify them and figure out what's going wrong and get them the treatment that they need. We can also look at this time at hygiene, as well as look for any lumps or bumps or any scrapes or lesions that we need to take care of or be aware of. There is a lot that we can see with just visual observation, especially on large animals like this. These cows know the routine, so they know that their fresh feed and fresh bedding and fresh water is all waiting for them back at their pen. As they walk back from the milking parlor, they have their expectations. I've seen where we've been late for some reason, a tractor broke down or something, and something is late, so their routine is off, and they will all stand at the corner and moo at you until they get what they want. The cows, they know exactly what to expect, and they really do thrive on that routine. As a veterinarian, I do a lot of training on dairy farms. It is important that every employee on the farm has clear expectations and the farmer knows what to do, and that everyone knows that animal care should be top priority on the farm. It's important that everyone knows that there is zero tolerance for animal abuse on dairy farms. And it is important for everyone to know that if they see anything suspicious or anything wrong or anything concerning about the cows or how people are treating them, they should report it to the farmer, the veterinarian, or a tip line immediately, because the cows should be the top priority. So when they come back from the pen, here they are all up at the stanchions eating. It's actually good for them to have fresh feed available to them when they come back from the milking parlor, because we want them to stand for at least 20 minutes after they come back from milking. Their teat ends do not close right away. So even though we put that disinfectant on and we make sure the milking process is exactly how it should be, they do need time for those teat ends to close. We don't want bacteria to enter there and give them any sort of infection or inflammation. I think it can be scary for some people to see cows eating a food that seems unfamiliar to them, but know that it is a perfectly balanced diet. Just like your dog food is not what a dog would eat out in the wild, but it's still very healthy food for them. It can also be scary for people to see cows putting their heads through metal bars like this. But as you can see, those bars move so that the cows can enter and exit at their will. Here one is coming in and no one is forcing her to come in. These bars help keep the feed clean and helps reduce waste, because it is important for the environment that we are not being wasteful on dairy farms. I also hear a lot of concern about cows having ear tags. These ear tags are a visual identifier. If you are walking through a pen like this, imagine that we're looking for a specific cow. There are several hundred cows in this group, and there is several acres that these cows are allowed to roam on. So if we're looking for a specific cow and trying to find her, we cannot walk up and scan like you scan a microchip on your dog. We have to know which cow we're looking for. And these ear tags are a visual identifier so that we can find that cow from a distance and then get her what she needs. Perhaps it's this cow, and she's been noticed laying down more often than not, and we need to give her a physical exam to see what's going on. Well, because I have her ear tag, I know I can find her. Or perhaps it's this cow over here. Maybe she is due for a vaccination. But I encourage you all, if you have questions or concerns, to ask someone. Ask me, drop a comment below. Do me a favor and hit subscribe if this is interesting to you, because I want to answer your questions and be very clear about cow care on farm.